What's going on, people? How we doing? How we doing today? Well, though, what's going on? How you doing? Mina, I see you, brother. Snooker, what's going on, brother? How you doing? Jermaine, I'm back. I'm back like I never left, man. Back like swimwear. I was only in New York for about, 3 days, so. What's going on, beautiful people, beautiful people? You have a special guest today, just waiting everybody to get on board. Schnuck, tell him you ready. What you ready for, man? Put it up there, man. You ready for that truck? Back like swimwear, baby. That's right. Well done. Man, I'm excited today, man. We have a real special guest today. Liz, great friend. Man, her background in transportation is amazing. Wait till she come on and you guys will hear from her. Rosie, how you doing? How's your day going? Yeah, man, Liz have a really, really interesting background in trucking. I know you guys probably see War Trucking all over the place with the white and green logo. It's a family-owned business, so we'll let Liz talk about, her experience and what she see in trucking and, what it is that we need to do as entrepreneurs, as truck drivers, where we need to situate ourselves to get on there. Hey, Liz, what's going on? We're just talking about you. Send a request, Liz. Liz, you have to send a request. Let me see, I can send it to you probably. Jordan, what's going on, brother? How you feeling, man? Come on, Liz, we're waiting on you, man. We're waiting on you. The audience is excited. They want to hear your experience. They want to hear, how things go. Hold 1 second. Liz, I'm not sure what's going on. It's saying it's unable to join. I sent you the thing. Hold 1 second. Let's try this. Oh. Hold on 1 second, guys. I'm trying to get Liz in the room. Oh, there it is.
Pierre.
Oh, how you doing?
Good. 1 second here.
No problem.
How's it going?
It's going great. Can't complain. I'm alive. The kids are alive, right? Yeah, I'm blessed. You know what I'm saying?
I know. Life is the new
it
currency,
could be a
right?
lot worse. So I'm alive.
It
I'm
sure
grateful, man.
could.
So what about yourself? How you been? How's the family? How's everything going?
Good. Everything's going well. It's kind of like we're just kind of all navigating this new norm. It's weird, but there's also good parts of it though too.
Absolutely. Well, everyone, welcome to Trucking Weekly again with yours truly, Pierre Laguerre, founder and CEO of Fleeting. I have a good friend of mine here, Liz, head of small business at Transfix. If you guys don't know Transfix is a big digital broker, almost at $1 billion, pretty much, doing some amazing work as well. And Liz, I know Liz from, I'll let her speak about her background. She's in trucking logistics as well. She's been in it for a very long time. She's very passionate about trucking. And she also want to talk about the opportunities that we've seen in trucking. And we understand our own personal story, what we've gone through as far as building businesses and failing. The time of the market was bad and we have to be able to keep ourselves pushing and still going. So we want to talk about that because we understand there's a lot of people here that want to become entrepreneurs. The times look a little cloudy right now, right? So we want to be able to give them hope. How do we give them hope to understand, like, hey, look, trucking is very, very challenging, but if you hold on, the reward can be very great, right?
Yeah, that's right.
My personal
Absolutely.
story, my personal story, I think the world will need to hear it. So everyone, please welcome Liz. Liz, go ahead and tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks so much, Pierre. So I'm Liz Ward. Like Pierre said, I've been in trucking literally all my life. My great-grandfather started our LTL company in the 30s. And so I'm fourth generation there. But I honestly, Pierre, I never thought I would actually kind of be in this space. Like growing up with it, of course, my dad ran our company for a long time. Our dinners were always around like business issues, trucking issues, whatever. So I was exposed at a really young age to trucking. And, when I went to college, I thought, well, like, I don't know about this whole trucking thing, but like supply chain kind of sounds cool.
Mm.
And so I went into supply chain, and then I was, management consulting for a long time, working on illicit supply chains was kind of different. And then at which point I kind of shifted to trucking. So I've been in trucking probably for the last 13 or so years. It's an amazing industry. I've met so many awesome people, including yourself, Pierre.
Absolutely. Thank you. Same thing
And
with you.
yeah, and I know that what was it yesterday? We hopped on the phone and we were kind of thinking through, what we were gonna say and et cetera. And at first it's funny like how our angle just completely shifted. At first we were talking about how do you grow your fleet,
Yep.
from like 1 to 2 trucks. How do you establish good relationships with brokers and shippers? And then at some point we kind of just paused and we're like, this doesn't make sense,
Mm-hmm.
People aren't like buying trucks right now. There's a ton of unemployment right now. A lot of trucks are sitting idle,
Yep.
and it's an incredible time to be in trucking, but it's an incredible time, to rebuild.
Absolutely.
And so we really just kind of shifted, our focus there. I know I walked away thinking like I was like levitating on a couple,
Absolutely. No, me too. Me too. Now you really opened up my eyes. Like I said, it's true. As much as we talk about entrepreneurship, but a lot of times, we don't
Yes.
talk about the challenges, right? About being an entrepreneur. We don't talk about, hey, look, what type of backbone you need to have, especially if we're talking about trucking, right? Because that's the industry
Yeah.
that fluctuate every day, right? Next thing we be up here, next thing you know, things is all the way on the bottom, and you have to be able to
Yes.
kind of match that industry. So from your experience, let's tell the audience, like that's to me, it's always amazed to see how people get into trucking. It wasn't their first choice, but they just kind of got dragged into it and just end up falling in love with it, end up making it a passion and a career. Tell us a little bit about how that worked out for you to become exactly where you are before we go into, Transfix, from the transition from Convoy to Transfix.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like it's still like working out. Like it's a journey, right?
Yes.
By no means am I at like the pinnacle of like that journey. I don't even know what it's going to end up, to look like, which that's kind of cool too. But yeah, I got into trucking. The best way I can describe it to someone is this industry is like really fascinating because it's the ultimate math problem that's rooted in psychology,
Yes.
which makes it really hard to solve,
Yes.
and it's challenging at times. I mean, it's an absolute grind. Folks that like don't think it's a grind perhaps like aren't really in it, but it's a rewarding industry. I got into it because I like getting behind things with meaning. And for me, like money is one thing, right?
Yep.
But the whole like get up and get out of bed, that like really that feeling that kind of fuels me is the greater purpose of stuff. And like I said, I grew up in trucking in this 90-year-old company. And of course, I learned a lot through that experience, but it was also interesting because everything was already established. All the processes were already in place. All the people were where they needed to be. Over 90 years, like you learn something.
Absolutely.
You just keep on doing the same thing over and over again. And so I almost found like it was hard to learn because it was your name was on the side of the truck and you were just kind of like, that's just how it is and, whatever. And it wasn't until my dad started this company called Tran, and it was an offshoot of the family business. It was a volume LTL company. And the company, it went under. And I remember like,
that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Like that's real. Like,
yes.
You know what I mean? Like in that, I feel like is that experience, like I left Booz Allen and I was, kind of like on my high horse at that point. Booz Allen's a consulting company in Washington, D.C. And I was working with foreign governments and like, security intelligence agencies and trying to figure out the like supply chain of heroin. And then from there, I catapulted right into this company called Tran, the one my dad started. And I was all of a sudden like the back office. And I was having to like wear all these hats, in the middle of the day. And it literally is a game of whack-a-mole, like you wake up and you're just not really sure what to expect.
Yep.
And it's challenging and it's a total grind. And no matter how, no matter how great your plan is, chances are it's probably not going to work out that way.
That's very true.
But yeah, Pierre, like, it's a journey, but I remember, you know, there was this one day in October where, you know, like the company was ending, and we had just laid off like 75 people.
Wow.
And it just sucked. Yeah, like the day it just sucked. And I remember it being in this conference room, and it was a really, really old conference room. So old that there was carpet on the walls.
On the wall.
Yeah, have you ever seen one of these things?
I know what you mean. There's still a lot of trucking company that's still that old. Don't be surprised. I'm working a lot of trucking companies that dispatch office still look like it's 1979. So.
Yeah, you know, someone should do like a calendar of that or something, like best trucking terminals, you know, because they're all kind of dumpy. But anyway, so I was in this conference room, and I was about to like mail out all these unemployment notices to all of our drivers and the people that were working for us. And I just had this moment, and it's like stuck with me. And I remember like looking at the carpet wall and thinking like, by God, like I want to do something that's going to create jobs.
Yes. At
least 75 of them. Like, I don't know what that's going to look like, but I want to do something that's like, in a way, you know, giving back. Because we all felt that we kind of failed these people, right?
Absolutely. Now you felt like you felt like you had a moral responsibility now to go ahead and make up.
I did, yeah. And like, you know, talk about again, like going back to that whole like get up and go feeling. Like, I still think about that day, and it really kind of fuels me. You know, to think about like the greater good and the greater opportunity that's at stake, despite what's going on, right? Because there's a lot of stuff that needs fixed in the industry. There's a lot of progress being made, which is awesome, but it's challenging though.
Oh, very challenging.
So,
thank you for sharing that. Let's really appreciate it. But what I want to ask though, like, right, just like you said, like laying off these 75 drivers, right? What type of relationship did you? Because you had to have some type of relationship with these drivers to feel connected to them. So I'm pretty sure that's why you felt like, hey, look, sending that those letters to 75 drivers. Like, what was that like for you to build that relationship with those drivers, and then realize that you had to shut the company down and still have the backbone to say, okay, what's next? Yeah.
I number one, I'm pro driver. I absolutely love truck drivers. I have a tremendous amount of gratitude for them, their profession. It's hard. And I think they're like a really awesome kind of like cohort of people.
Yes.
And I also think that stems from my childhood in a way, in that we were always raised, you know, to feel like we never were better than the driver just because our last name was on the side of the truck. Like, that's so silly, right?
I see what you mean.
You know what I mean? So that's always kind of stuck with me. But for drivers, like truthfully, Pierre, like I get my best ideas like from drivers. I love talking to them because they're like the pulse of the industry.
Absolutely.
You know, like we always say, like it's in the field where stuff gets done.
Yes.
And it's hard to get that perspective and kind of lean in on those like observations when you're in an office and, you know, you're just kind of stuck in the four walls. So, yeah, it really kind of like hurt, you know, obviously like laying off those people, but also too, like if there's a silver lining in it, I have a tremendous amount of appreciation for what they do.
Appreciate it. Nah, same thing with me, man. I appreciate drivers so much that, you know, I'm willing to go above and beyond to bring a solution that can, you know, make things a lot easier for them.
Oh, I know you are.
That's my duty. I feel like it's my job. Just like you said, we have the pulse in the industry, right? But too often what I see though in trucking is that there's a miscommunication, right? There's a misalignment between trucking companies and truck drivers, simply because I think truck drivers don't truly understand what goes on beyond operation, how expensive it is, how things go on every day. Like, operation is constantly putting out fires, right? But at the same token, operation don't understand what it's like to be a driver on the road, to be away from your family, to be eating hot dogs and Coca-Cola, you know, for the whole week. Nobody understands that. So I think it's a big mix connection here within trucking companies and truck drivers. Can you talk about that, like how your company was able to build that relationship with these drivers for you to feel connected with them? What is it that you did that was different from the other companies in the industry? Yeah,
well, I knew that was something that was really important to my dad, especially. Because again, you know, the driver is so important, especially to the business, because they are the closest person to your customer. They actually touch the customer.
Yes.
And so if they're not happy, then chances are you're probably not going to, you know, be giving a great customer experience.
Very true.
And so that's where it's like, there, you know, never should be any sort of pecking order. These drivers are just as good, if not better, certainly important and valuable to the business, and they should be treated as such. And so one of the things I that we did at Ward, and I thought was so powerful, was we gave our drivers business cards.
Wow.
And you know, because we wanted them to feel like they owned the relationship with the customer, in that, because they were just such an integral role of it anyway, that they did kind of own it. Like, of course, the salesperson comes in, they negotiate pricing and so forth, but in terms of the actual driver, like that's whenever like stuff kind of happens.
Yes.
You know, the magic unfolds, and they develop the relationships with the receivers and the people that, you know, that actually kind of are making it happen.
That's true. No, that you can give me an idea. Maybe I should give all our drivers a card.
You should.
Because when you think about it, a company give me a card as a driver, I'll feel like I'm part of the family, right? I'll feel like, man, this right here, like I don't want to lose this company. I don't want to be without this company. So I think that's a great tool to build those relationships. But we're gonna go straight into, let's really start talking about struggling of, you know, the failing and picking yourself up, how to remain optimistic, especially in this industry that we're in. You know, what happened with COVID-19, so many companies went under. I mean, companies was already on their way out of business. That's, you know, that's a fact. You know, cost of insurance, pretty much, you know, all these things are affecting the entire industry. But let's get into like, okay, exactly what type of attitude you need to have. If you think you're going to get into trucking to say, hey, I want to become an entrepreneur, I want to become an owner operator, I want to start with my own truck, what type of attitude that they need to have? Because we can talk about your personal story as far as failing and pick back up and go right back at it again. And we can talk about my story, it's the same thing. But I think, how do we help our community understand how important that is before you even go into the trucking, that you have to have that backbone to get into it?
Yeah, I mean, it takes a tremendous amount of resiliency to be in this space. And I think back to like some of my lows, and again, like by no means am I at the pinnacle like of any means, but I think we're all kind of struggling and kind of working through this whole thing. But you know, for me, like the times where it wasn't so great or it hasn't been so great, those are the times where, frankly, you grow. You grow more than even what you think. You know, someone once told me that, it's kind of a, you know, cheesy analogy, but you know, in the mud, the lotus grows. So a lotus flower blooms in the mud, actually. And so it's like during that up leveling period where you're like, I'm banging my head up against the wall every single goddamn day. Like that is when you're actually growing. And so for businesses and people that are sitting at home and they're kind of thinking like, what's next? Like, what do I do? Like, how do I retool? How do I come back from this? This is like a gift in many ways, you know, for you to get really clear on what you want it to be. I mean, Pierre, you're an amazing example of taking something, having an idea, and just in building it, and like how you want it to be. Like I remember when I first met you, it's probably 2 years ago or so, around this time.
Yep, exactly.
And we're at this really fancy workspace in New York City.
I remember.
It is one of these where it's like, it's almost like a library setting. Like everyone's, you know, it's really important, and like no one talks and everything. And I remember like sitting down with you, because I was in one of those walls, those like low periods, and sitting down with you and just kind of talking shop. And it was so amazing to kind of hear your story. Like at the time, I think you were doing something with Windows.
Yes.
You know, like you had a really bad accident, and you had some sort of head collision.
Yep.
And you lost everything. And you were like, okay, well, I know that these windows need cleaned, so by God, I'm going to start a window cleaning business.
Yep.
You know? And I thought, like, God, like talk about humility. Like there's like so much strength and humility in like being vulnerable, and just kind of just fucking going for it.
That's it.
You know,
just go for it. And you know what, Liz? Thank you for saying that, because for me is the thing that, you know, I can share with the community is that what keeps me going is that I got this vision where I feel like, hey, look, I can solve this problem, right? Now, I don't know if it's 5 years, 3 years, 10 years, 30 years from now, God knows when that is. But I think the fact that I believe in myself so much, and I believe in the people that surrounds us, that we can actually solve this problem. Actually, I can't sleep at night. I wouldn't be able to sleep with myself. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I don't solve this problem, Liz. This is how serious it is. Like,
oh, I know. You're in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if I don't solve this problem, like I don't think I'll be able to live with myself. I'll be kicking myself, you know, down. So that's why when I kind of got down and failed, right, I wasn't looking at the current situation that I was in, because I kind of said, you know what, this might be part of my process. This might be the journey. but the goal was much more important than my current situation. So this is why my current situation never stopped me from achieving what it is that I want to achieve, because I always have that clear picture where I want to go, how I want to get there. But it's just, sometimes you just don't know. Life just throw curveball at you, right? And sometimes I look at it like maybe this is life also testing you to see, hey, look, are you really made out of what you say you're made out of to go after what it is that you want?
Yeah. You know, and that's where it's like, for all these business owners out there, or even truck drivers out there that maybe they've been laid off, or maybe their business has kind of just come to a halt. Like, I really encourage you to kind of like tap into like the reason why you did it in the first place. You know, like that day one, like, you know, whether it made sense to you or not, there had been something that kind of motivated you to do it, you know, for at least more than one day, right?
Yes.
And like thinking, like honing in on that feeling, that experience, and then figuring out, like taking that and figuring out what you want it to look like. You know, like there were parts of my experience, and still are parts of my experience that I don't like, that just annoy me, you know, and but there's stuff that like continue to kind of like really excite me. I think that's why we're friends, and you know, I enjoy talking to you, because it's, you live in, Pierre, you like live and breathe this like state of opportunity, in the state of like continual progress and progression. I think that's like really healthy.
No, really appreciate that. Like, I heard somebody say, which is, I think this is the best saying that I've heard, that said, ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship, right? Like, literally, like, just think about that. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. So it's like, when you think about it, it's like, okay, well, when things is hard, this is not the time for you to kind of ease off. This is where you gotta really get
Yeah, this is the time you put your foot on the gas pedal, literally. You put your foot on the gas pedal and you say, not today.
Not today, Jose.
You say, not today.
We want to make
today
sure
is my day.
Understand that. Not today.
Yes.
Like, listen,
yes.
When you face those challenges, when you feel like giving up, when you feel like, hey, look, man, I've been at this truck stop waiting to find a load to get back home. Listen, you have to say to yourself, not today. I'm not going to let this experience stop me from achieving the end goal.
Truly, truly, because if you let that one thing or that one person or that one incident kind of just blow your fuse, you're not going to get anywhere. And so I don't know, 2020, I've adopted this mantra where it's like, not today, because everywhere you look, it's negative.
That's true.
And sure, there's a lot of positive things happening, a lot of like progression. And these are all like wonderful things that are happening, but it's also kind of shitty too. You know, there's a lot of people unemployed. There's a lot of like a capacity that's empty in this space. And there's so many reasons to look at the negative, because there's just that many reasons.
Yes.
And adopting this mantra of like, not today, where it's like, you know what, like I'm unemployed. I don't know where my next paycheck's going to go. I don't know. Instead of living in that moment of fear, you say, fuck it, not today. I'm going to do something. And you shift that energy. And I'm telling you, it's powerful.
Yes.
And it's what makes this industry so awesome, because it's powerful.
Yes, it is.
And because I think we're all kind of on the same page, you know, fundamentally with the stuff we need to accomplish. And trucking is obviously really important, but we need to always have that foot in the gas pedal mentality to actually change things.
Absolutely. No, really appreciate it. You said it the best, man. It's like, you know, you have to have that not today attitude. Driver.
Yeah, not today.
If you
not today.
That's the attitude you need to have in trucking. Not today. You're not going to let this person, you know, take you off. You're not going to let this other car that cuts you off and just like, man, trucking sucks. I just want to quit. You know, a bad experience with a shipper, a bad experience with brokers. You have to be able to say, no, not today. We're not going to quit, because there's a bigger reason why I'm doing trucking. No, man, this is great stuff. Now let's get straight to like, let's talk about some numbers about trucking companies that have gone out of business. From last year alone, I know there's about 900 companies that went out of business last year, right? And then early this year, with with COVID-19, there was an additional 600 trucking companies that went out of business. So we're talking about in the span of a year, 1,500 trucking companies went out of business. Now let's just say even each of these trucking companies, they used to own, let's just say 10 trucks, right? Which companies own 100, 200, 300 trucks that went out of business. But let's just, for argument's sake, let's say all these companies used to own 10 trucks, right? So 1,500 went out. We're talking about what? This is what, 15,000 trucks that's out of capacity in the space, right? But we understand how shipment has come to a complete stop because of COVID-19. But as everything starts to come back online, right? Businesses, the global market is opening back up. What type of challenge that you see that the industry is going to go through without those capacity that's not there? Because we still need those capacity, right? The shippers still need them to be able to move goods. Like, what do you see on that? Like, because to me, I look at it as an opportunity, right? Much more like something is bad. To me, it is, how do you look at that opportunity to see, okay, well, where do I fit in and be part of this opportunity that's to come in the next 3 to 6 months?
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, you bring up a good point in that, you know, trucking is all about, it's about the balance of supply and demand.
Yep.
So supply being the trucks that actually haul the stuff, and the demand being the stuff, right?
Yes.
And right now there's a severe imbalance where we have a lot more trucks that want to haul stuff, and there's just less stuff to be hauled.
Yep.
Because we're not doing as much as what we've done. I mean, this is probably the most fun I've had for over the last couple months, Pierre.
Wow.
But seriously though, there's just not a lot of spending that's happening, and it's creating that imbalance. However, you know, with the positive thing, the silver lining, I think, with this is that stuff is starting to open up slowly.
Yep.
There will be, you know, right now there's no talk of a driver shortage, right?
Nope.
Because there's no need to talk about it.
Yep.
You know, yeah, but let's give it 4 months from now, whenever stuff actually opens up, and people, you know, right now that are sitting on their couches saying, what do I do with my life? They end up doing something else. Well, that CDL license goes away, right? And then all of a sudden it flips again, and it's an imbalance. And supply now, you know, there's far less trucks on the road to haul all the stuff that needs to be hauled, because all these businesses are open. And so it's going to be, I almost think it's going to be more of like a 2018 kind of, you know, where we're going to see a lot of spot stuff, a lot of last minute on demand. I mean, we see it right now with shippers that, like, their forecasts are like blown.
Wow.
You know, like, you know, like the forecast that they were planning Q4 of last year.
Wow.
They're like what was even 2019? Like, you know, what was that?
That's true.
So everything's kind of blown, and so they're reacting just to demand because they have to, and it's going to be, I think it's definitely, the tides will turn in favor of the truck driver and these carriers.
Absolutely. So now let's talk about a little bit more about, like, even unemployment rate. We're talking about 40 million people unemployed, right? And we understand that the opportunity that's about to come in trucking, you know, 3 months, 6 months down the line, even if we just say next year, right? We understand that. Like, what do we tell the community? Like, hey, look, go out and get a CDL just to have it in your back pocket, just because you just never know, right? Trucking may not be your thing, but you might want to just have that CDL because we think the opportunity is going to be there for the unemployment to be able to kind of help with that. But also the people that own a truck or two, how do they put themselves in the best position, right, to just stay alive for the next 3 to 6 months to capitalize on that opportunity?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, Pierre, what do you think?
To be honest with you, what I think is, as you said, this is the time to plant that seed now. This is the time to get ready. Like, trucking is not one of those. I have a good friend of mine, right, and I heard him said that. It's like, look, trucking is not one of those stock market thing where you could just say, oh, you know what, I'll come in when the price is low, right? And then say, hey, look, you know what, I'll sell when the price is high. It doesn't work that way. Trucking, it fluctuates all the time. So you just have to get in and have the tough skin to be able to move with the ups and downs. So definitely, I think for me, what I would tell people is, look, we're talking about trucking is the backbone of the American economy, right? Just look what happened with COVID-19. If we didn't have truckers, right, I don't know, man, we'd have been completely shit out of luck, right? And
we would all be out of toilet paper, Pierre.
I'm sorry? Go ahead.
I said we would be out of toilet paper, you know. Like,
oh, man, exactly. More than toilet paper.
That was like the number one commodity this spring.
I tell people all the time, I say, look, man, if trucking stops today, in 3 days, you know, our supermarket will be empty. The gas station will have no more fuel. Then another week, we'll lose our clean water supply. Like, in another week, the entire country will be covered in waste. So that means trucking is very important. But however, you know, let's talk about, you know, certain changes that do need to be in trucking. If trucking is that important, what is it that we can do? I feel like I have a duty, you have a duty, but what is it that we collectively that we can do together to make trucking more equitable for everyone?
I mean, I think like at a very like micro level, right? There's a lot of, you know, for business owners, for smaller trucking companies, where it's not as busy. Now is an amazing time to kind of reflect, because you have time. You're not playing that whack-a-mole game, and to think about the white space in your business. Think about like the stuff that just like throws you over the edge on a day-to-day basis. You know, for me, it was like the stuff that would keep me up at night would be like pricing. Like, is our pricing right? Like, I don't even know. Like, what sources do I even go to to benchmark my rates against? Am I missing out on money? Or just even like, are people happy? Like, you know, what are some things I could have done to make people happier or make people more engaged? You know, some shippers where, you know, thankfully it didn't work out. Noted. Don't do business with them again.
Yes.
Like, you know, or shippers that like really kind of like you just jived with. You know, make a note of the people that it just was easy to work with, and it felt like it was seamless, and it was just like, again, easy. Make a note of that, right?
Wow.
And cultivate more relationships like that. Like now is the time to kind of like build your own community.
Absolutely.
And even if you aren't in business right now, still reach out to them. You know, you don't have to have a truck to have a relationship.
That's true.
You know, and so I think the whole community part is really important in this industry, because it's very siloed, and it's always been very siloed.
Yep.
And so it's important to kind of like establish like your crew, because they're like ultimately your greatest like support system.
Yes.
And again, like going back to the retooling of the business, like think about technology. If you know nothing about technology other than like you think you need it, like email like some sort of technology provider, like type in like, you know, fleet management software or something in Google, and like the first vendor that pops up, email them. Like they're not busy, you know?
Wow.
Like now is the time to just kind of like just learn and think more creatively, and like be like a little bit more curious about other stuff, because there's a lot of things in motion, a lot of resources. And for you to have this time, this like amazing time where you're just kind of like thinking, but like not progressing, is just, you'll end up kicking yourself, you know?
Absolutely. No,
so yeah, so it's kind of like, it's like getting ready before the race. Like make sure your shoes are tied, everything's, you know, ready to go, because you know you're going to race and it's going to happen. We all know that trucking is going to bounce back. It's an amazing industry. You know, it's like life. It's like what goes up must come down. What goes down always comes up too.
Absolutely.
It's just the cycle of life. And the same is true for trucking, and it will bounce back. But now is the time to get like super clear on like the business you want to build. And, you know, maybe that means like downsizing a little bit, you know, to build the empire you kind of want to build. Maybe that means like shutting it down and then thinking about the company that you really want to work for, you know, the type of carrier you want to work for. Or maybe it's thinking broadly about like the supply chain. You know, it's like not just trucking. If you have a CDL license, it doesn't mean you're just, the only purpose you have is in trucking.
Yes.
There's so much opportunity in warehousing. Oh my God, Pierre, I've been thinking about that a lot. You know, with the warehousing, like there's gonna be so much innovation that's coming out of warehousing, because it has to.
No,
because the second, you know, someone has COVID, the whole thing shuts down. And these companies just can't afford that.
No, I agree 100%. And once again, this is why the fleeting mission is definitely our goal for the next 2 years. We want to build 1 million people into our community. That consists of truck drivers, logistics personnel, right? Shippers, all these things, motor carriers. We want to, because we understand communication is key, right? We all need each other. Like we need the shipper, we need the carrier, the broker. We need all of that to create that relationship, to make everything seamless, right? So for us is, how do we create that community and get the, you know, we're talking about 40 million people unemployed, right? What is it that they can learn? Because like people think that trucking is only what, either you own a trucking company or you're a truck driver. That's all they know. But there's so much more work that, especially a lot, even let's talk about even the moms that have lost their job to COVID-19, right? What type of opportunity is there for them that they could look into trucking and say, hey, maybe I can take a course in this, maybe I can learn this, maybe I could be part of that and really start making money with trucking, because the opportunity is huge.
You know, I love that. I love that whole concept, because trucking is predominantly a male-dominated industry. You know, that's something I've certainly learned. You know, and it comes like with a lot of challenges for a lot of women. But the reality is that women make up a lot of this industry. They are they're the back office function, many dispatchers, and they kind of make these companies like work. You know. Again, going back to the multiple hat thing, they're the HR, they're the payroll, they're the billing, like they're the everything. And so women, that skill set.
Women are the backbone of the industry as well. So let's not forget that. So shout out to
that's
the women.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
Women are also the backbone in trucking. So let's not forget that.
They are. But no, like no joke. This is like no bullshit. They really, like no kidding, are. And so like just because you don't have a CDL license but you're in trucking doesn't mean that like you have nothing to offer. you know, you have nothing to provide. That is such a myth.
Yep.
Like that needs debunked if you're even thinking about that right now, that there's like really no hope for you if you've been laid off or whatever. There's a ton actually. There arguably might be like even more, you know, as again, thinking broader about the supply chain.
No.
So for these women, I would encourage them to get involved with some of these organizations. Like I know I'm involved with Women in Trucking.
Nice.
And I've met so many awesome women, women drivers that I still, you know, in contact with. We wish each other Merry Christmas every year. And
Nice.
like, you know, and they're just like good women and good people.
Absolutely.
And but the Women in Trucking thing, I've had it's just been a really positive experience. And again, going back to that community, I think it's hard for women because it's so male dominated to try to kind of find their tribe, if you will. But there are organizations out there. So if you're sitting at home, kind of like thinking about what's next, at the very least, sign up. It's free. Like, you know, in these organizations want to hear from you.
Yep.
They want your story. They want to, because it, you know, it just, if anything, someone else can relate to it. Yes. And we all can relate to it. I mean, think about us, Pierre.
I know.
We couldn't have we have two completely different backgrounds.
Yep.
But yet we're really good friends.
That's
like I love talking to you.
That's very true.
You know, and I get all sorts of ideas from you. And like, we've also had kind of like a really cool journey, you know, put us on paper and people are like, oh no, like, you know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? Like, this is two opposites of the spectrum, but it works. And so I just, again, like the women thing, I know you have some really cool ideas when it comes to opportunities for women.
Yes, absolutely.
And maybe you want to share those.
A little bean on here, man.
Yeah.
Ladies, don't worry, man. Freedom is really working on the back end. We want to create opportunities, man. That's why we say, hey, look, let's join us, be part of this community. We want to give women the opportunity, you know, to have their little own back office where they can run their own fleet, manage their own fleet. These are the things that we want to help with women. And if you want to help, you know, if you want to become a CDL truck driver, Freedom want to help with that as well. Like we said, we want to build that real diverse community, right? We understand that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right here. People are really loving this. Hold 1 second. Let me just get to the next question right here, right? Let me pull that up, Liz. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. So, definitely, once again, man, Liz, we really appreciate the jewels that you dropped with us, the gems you shared, like, you know, from your experience as well, being a convoy. I mean, convoy, from convoy to Transfix. I mean, I'm saying it backward, but you know what I mean? From family business to tech, convoy to now Transfix. Head of small businesses.
Yeah.
So you deal with these small businesses on a day-to-day basis directly. Like, what advice would you give any small businesses in our community right now listening to this conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of like leaned in on this whole small business thing. In many ways, I think it's more fun and it's kind of real. It's like far more raw than working with like humongous enterprise companies. But I would say like leverage the resources that are at your disposal right now. There's a lot of like loans and things that are available to you. Don't be afraid of doing that. Do that.
What?
Oh, I know. Am I cutting out, Pierre?
Yeah, you cut out just a little bit. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I would say for the small businesses to leverage the resources that are at their disposal right now. The loans that are available. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Like anything that you can apply for, do it. Like absolutely do it. And if you have to kind of temporarily shut down, like, you know, operations, be smart about it, you know, and that's okay. But I would say like, don't feel like you have to just keep on going and kind of like, just because that's what you feel like you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Maybe you whip up another business.
Yep.
You know, maybe you turn that factory that you have into a place where you're making mass, and
that's very true.
And, you know, you're kind of using that space more creatively. Don't be afraid to pivot.
I was just about
because you're gonna fail.
Yep.
Right. Like
absolutely.
you know, so yeah, I would say it's a challenging time. I mean, I really feel for these businesses. But you know what's cool is like I'm seeing them bounce back, and I
Yes,
see it with the numbers.
absolutely.
And you know, March, mid-March, April was kind of, you know, we were reaching like the floor, right?
Yep.
But I'm starting to see it bounce back, and that's like really, really exciting.
That's good. That's great news to hear. Now, another question. Let me ask this: what do you see as far as on a global side? You see things opening up as well? Do you see businesses coming on online back on as well?
Oh, e-commerce?
Yes,
Oh my God, Pierre. E-commerce is here to stay.
absolutely.
Oh yeah, e-commerce is here to stay. The whole, you know, brick and mortar storefront,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, the companies that, you know, have already been thinking about e-commerce, and they already have a web presence, and they already have their kind of distribution channel already lined up. They're doing really well right now.
That's good.
The companies that are just kind of figuring out, now's the time to do it. Now's the time to figure it out, right?
Absolutely.
Get the website, you know, position your DCs in areas that are closer to your customers, not your stores. You know, think through your leases, your, you know, like the brick and mortar investment that you have. Think about if you didn't have that, you know, on your balance sheet, how could you reallocate that investment you know, something else? I mean, a different experience. Um,
As soon as I'm
oh
gonna
wait,
allow somebody to call
I
me.
know, I know.
No, that's
It's all right.
it,
It's
Liz.
all
I
right.
think this is some very, very serious information, Liz, you're sharing with us. I think the audience really appreciate it. Now, if you don't mind, can we open up the audience,
Yeah.
you know, for some few questions, because I know there's
Oh
a few
yeah.
women on
Oh
here as
yeah.
well, calling you the queen of
Yeah.
trucking. Let's see if, you know, open it up for the audience. Hey,
God.
anyone that has any questions, again, this is my good friend Liz here, head of small business at Transfix, which is another digital brokerage firm. Almost value at $1 billion. They're doing some amazing work. Liz is really
Yeah.
part of the team. Liz has been a great friend to me, a great advisor as well, right, Liz? So it's not even just
Yeah.
talk about business. The advice that you were able even to share with me on how, you know, to really understand your market opportunity, understand your market penetration. These things is really important. So I think it's really important to share those experiences with the audience. So let's open up to the question. Anyone that have any questions, we have Liz here. Just go ahead. I mean, we have 4 more minutes. At 7:45, we're gonna shut it down. So you guys go ahead, have your questions. Liz can answer them for you. Rosie is in the house. I know Rosie definitely asked some questions. Rosie, are
Hey,
you there?
Rosie.
Somebody said, are there opportunities for the over 40 million job seekers? If so, what areas? I mean, man, I think the only thing we know is trucking, right? I mean, I think that's one thing I would say.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I go to
Trucking.
dinner parties and I'm pretty much useless. I mean, if it's not, you know, around trucking. No, I'm kidding.
Me too. No, don't feel bad. Hey, listen, I live and breathe trucking for 17 years. So guess what?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I even tell, you know, when investors ask and say, hey, Pierre, do you have a tech background? Hell no. I've been in trucking for 17 years, right? And that's always something that comes up. It's like, but at the end of the day, the passion that I have for it is like, okay, cool, no problem. I don't have to have a technical skill to solve a problem. All you have to be is a person that actually experienced the problem, and you know you're strong enough, or you have the will enough to say, hey, look, man, let me put myself out there and solve that problem.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But I mean, to answer their question, like again, trucking's not going anywhere,
Nope.
right? It is like a cash cow kind of industry, in that it's just a staple. We need it. What's the stat? Like 80% of the stuff that you see in a room, wherever you are at this moment, has probably been delivered on a truck.
Yep.
And you know, sure, there's all sorts of different modes, intermodal, air, etc. But that truck is like, it will definitely be a staple.
Right. 71%. 71% of all our goods are moved by trucking.
Is that what it is?
71%.
Yeah.
So that means this entire country depends on trucking. So it's truly important that we make sure we keep building these infrastructures to support those type of businesses.
Yeah. I mean, and honestly, now more than ever, we need the most ideas, like the best minds in the space. I mean, if COVID has taught us of anything, is that the supply chain needs to be really agile.
Yes.
and it needs to be able to withstand all sorts of things, you know, to think that COVID is going to be the last pandemic that we have in our lifetime is probably not the
No,
case. We're probably going to see more of these things.
one.
Yeah, so, right. So like thinking through like the long term, you know, like the importance of that, and then also like what's needed right now to make it more efficient, make it run, you know, at the pace that we all know and love, and like to do that in a way, like we're going to need a lot of stuff. So there's a lot of opportunity. I would just say hold tight.
Yes.
Like get ready. Get your resume ready. Get clear as to what company you want to work for. You know, get clear as to what you hated about your last job or what you loved about it. And then just start like going in a different direction with that foot in the gas pedal.
Nah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Liz. I know we have some small businesses here as well following us. You have future entrepreneurs that want to even own their truck. Like,
love it.
If these people wanted to get in touch with you, Liz, to say, hey, look, Liz, since you're part of small of head business at Transfix, how can you connect them with some loads? How do these people get in touch with you? I mean, you don't have to say anything. That's something I will share with them via DM. But is it okay for these people to reach out, these small businesses to reach out and see how can you help them?
Absolutely. So there are a couple ways you can do it. Obviously, you can, you know, friend me on Instagram, or you can email me at lizward@transfix.io. And yeah, Transfix is an amazing brokerage. We're doing a lot of really cool stuff over there. So a lot of really great people. I don't know about you, Pierre, but I think like the people really makes like your work environment.
Yeah.
Right. You know, it's really important. And so there's a lot of good stuff going on. And we'd be happy to like get you in touch with the right people there.
Nah, thank you. Definitely appreciate it.
Yeah.
I think I've been in Transfix office a couple of times.
Yeah, you
amazing.
have.
I mean, congratulations to her, man, being promoted to CEO of the company. I forgot the CTO guys that you was working with at the time. I mean, I think the team was awesome. I think the environment, like, I mean, walking into the Transfix building, it was really pretty amazing. The way, as a matter of fact, people don't even understand that. If you go inside Transfix, what they did, they took pallets and turned them into couch. Like, that was really amazing the way they got the whole design, right? So definitely, really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's cool. And, you know, and all are welcome too. Hopefully the, you know, office opens back up. We're in the heart of Manhattan. But yeah, like we love drivers. We're very much like pro drivers, pro carriers, because we understand how hard it is.
Yes.
And as a technology company, like our MO is to build awesome products to make your life easier. And it's that simple as that.
Amen. Can you please give them your email address again, Liz, just in case they missed it?
Yeah, it's Liz Ward, WARD, @transfix.io.
Thank you, Liz. Liz, I really appreciate you. I think
Thank you,
great.
Pierre.
This is amazing. As a matter of fact, I think we need to do this more often, especially because
I do
know we
too,
were going to
Pierre.
come in and talk about, hey, look, how do you go out there and get 15 trucks? How do you go ahead and explode your business?
Yeah.
But when we really talked about it, it was like, wait, hold up. A lot of people are hurting out here. But first, let's show them how do they cope with what's going on. How do we give them hope? And I think that's, you know, this call right here, this live did exactly that.
Oh,
we want to give people hope and let them know that, you know, once, like we said on the phone, right? The best thing ever invented in life, guys, is another 24 hours, right? With another 24 hours, we can change our biology and we can change our reality and we can change our outcome, right? So it's very important to understand, to be very optimistic and understand that, hey, look, things change, but guess what? You just have to remain steadfast, be strong, have faith, believe in what you believe in.
Not today, Pierre, right?
Not today.
Not today.
Yeah, exactly. That's
not
the motto,
today.
man. Not today.
I'm telling you.
Absolutely.
There's an abundance of opportunity. There's abundance of opportunity here. And it's going to flip. This is no bullshit. This is not like rose, you know, covered glasses, thinking about 2020, perfect eyesight. We were joking around about that. Those 2020, New Year's Eve, like glasses.
With them glasses now.
Jokes on us. Not so perfect vision in 2020, but whatever. But yeah, it's going to bounce back in a real way. It always does. There's a lot of opportunity. Don't, you know, lose hope. And if you feel like you are, reach out to us.
Yes, absolutely.
I can talk about it all day long.
Man, you're losing hope. Reach out to me. Reach out to Liz. We want to
the community.
Like I said, I've built businesses to millions of dollars in revenue and watched them crash, right?
Oh, yeah.
I could have given up on life, but I said, hey, you know what? What's next? What do I do next? And I'm still here.
Yeah.
I'm still working. And even God forbid, if anything happens to Fleeting, guess what? Tomorrow again, I'll be right back in trucking with another business. So,
that's the
community that we all have to have. So really appreciate it, Liz. Thank you.
Thank you, Pierre.
We do need to do this again. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. and see you soon, Liz.
All right. Thanks,
All right,
Pierre.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.